Hello friends, this is Adam with Movie Guy 365, and today I am going to be reviewing the exclusive Best Buy Steelbook of the 4K Blu-ray edition of the Back to the Future Trilogy. If you're new to the channel, please hit the like button, subscribe, hit that bell notification. You can also find me over Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd at Movie Guy 365. Okay, it is finally here. The Back to the Future trilogy is now available on 4K Blu-ray, Ultra HD, and it is glorious. I opted to go for the Steelbook edition, as you can see here, which I'll be doing an unboxing in just a few moments. But first, let me just tell you, when it comes to new formats, everything from Laserdisc to DVD, Blu-ray, and now 4K, there's always a short list of films that you want to see on that new format. And honestly, Back to the Future has always been on that kind of list for me. I love the original movie so much. It is in my top 10 of ultimate all-time films that I just go back to quite often. And when I heard that a 4K edition was rumored and then confirmed for 2020, I was very excited. I mean, really, this is an iconic series. While the sequels are not quite as strong as the original, it still works together as a whole, and I think they're just so amazing. And I couldn't be happier that they're now in 4K. We have the best possible quality versions here, which I'm really anxious to talk about. Okay, now let's dive right into the unboxing, and then we'll come back and talk about the picture quality and the audio of the trilogy. Okay, we have the Best Buy exclusive Back to the Future trilogy Steelbook edition here, and this is the outer casing for the Steelbooks. Pretty nice cover, kind of like it. And then we have the spine, and then the back with all that pertinent information. And then of course we have the Steelbooks. We have the first Back to the Future movie. It all makes one design, which I'll show at the end of the unboxing. And then we have the back artwork and the spine and interior. Disc artwork is always appreciated. Some various scenes from the movie. Back to the Future Part 2. As you can see, 2015 in all its futuristic glory. And then we have the back artwork and the spine. Interior. Go. And we have Back to the Future Part 3, taking place in 1885. And then the back cover, the spine. Bonus features are included on Part 3. And finally, we have them all joined together and they form one image. I gotta say, I really like it. It's really kind of a cool feature, so I highly recommend the Steelbook editions of these movies. It's really, in my opinion, the way to go. But yeah. Alright, now let's talk about the picture quality and the audio. The Back to the Future trilogy has a 1:8:5 aspect ratio for all three films, native 4K resolution, as well as HDR10 and Dolby Vision for the grading. For purposes of this review, I will be going over the Dolby Vision encode. For the original Back to the Future, I felt that the movie itself has never looked better. It really, honestly looks great. Film grain is appropriately used here. I did not detect any use of DNR or any other kind of removal software being used for this particular transfer, and I think it looks really good. It looks very filmic. And I think the 4K resolution itself kind of gives it a little bit of a darker look. There's a couple scenes near the beginning of the movie where Marty first arrives in 1955, and it kind of looks a little bit on the darker side. But I think it's a more natural look to it, and I really do agree with the choice, how it is utilized here. Now, as far as the Dolby Vision encode, it looks great. Everything really pops, and it does so in a very natural looking way. Everything, I would say clothing in particular, looks fantastic. you know, especially the 1950s clothing that they wear, like Lorraine and George, and it all looks good. Up close detail is also given a nice bump up. I would say, once again, the clothing in particular, and also just the general aesthetic of the area. You know, the cars themselves, those 50s cars, look fantastic. And of course, the nice color levels are also appropriately used here. The yellows, the reds, I think it is all done very well. And I would say, in particular, the lightning strike towards the end of the film also really bursts forth. It really has a new dimension to it, and it looks fantastic. And it's just the town itself of Hill Valley, as it looks great. It has a fantastic look to it and is overall well done. Black levels are also nice and deep. Once again, the climax of the film in particular really stand out. It just looks great. Very filmic, and I think you'll be very pleased. For Back to the Future Part 2, we definitely have a lot of different eras to play with, and I think they all work very well. Everything from 1955, 1985, alternate 1985, as well as 2015 really have their own separate identities, and I think that Dolby Vision displays them very nicely in their respective areas. I think the color pop of 2015 is especially well done. Everything from Marty's, you know, holographic hat to the neon to the holographic imagery, it all looks great. The futuristic style of that 2015 really are well represented. The Dolby Vision brings out those colors, and it does so very nicely. And I think overall, you're gonna be very happy. For the black levels, I think they're done very well, especially in the alternate 1985. Biff's, you know, casino really has that nice contrast with the lighting and the darkness, and that whole era just looks really kind of deep, and it's very filmic style to it, and I think it really represents the whole black level situation very nicely. Level of detail also gets a nice bump up across the board. Once again, everything from the costuming in 1955 to Biff's 1985 to the future, it all shows off particularly well. And once again, the up close shots of skin also are well done, and they look great, and no issues to speak of in that area. Film grain in Back to the Future Part 2 is also appropriately used, no DNR to speak of, and I think it gives it a nice filmic look. It retains its identity, and I think Back to the Future 2 has never looked better. For the picture quality of Back to the Future Part 3, you're definitely in for a treat. The Dolby Vision handles everything very well. The colors in particular, those blue skies of 1885 Hill Valley, how clear they look fantastic, and other color enhancements are also sprinkled throughout the film. Everything from Marty's outfit at the beginning of his adventure to the time circuits of the DeLorean, and just everything in between really is well represented color-wise, and I think you'll be very happy. Black levels in particular, nighttime scenes, they stand out very nicely. The party scene where Doc Brown and Clara meet and have their dance, it looks great. I mean, you have the light, showing off the contrast, but the black levels, the behind the scenes, it all looks really good, and it's very deep, and I'm very happy. The level of detail gets also a nice bump up. Skin textures in particular have a nice look to them. Clothing, the Old West clothing in particular, look really well done. And I think you'll be very happy with the level of detail when you get those up close shots of like the desert and like a bush or a cactus or something. It all comes to life, and I think you'll be very happy with the overall bump up in resolution. The picture quality of Back to the Future Part 3 is very nice. The Dolby Vision really helps things along quite a bit, and it's just a nice representation of 4K. The Back to the Future trilogy on 4K is provided with a Dolby Atmos audio presentation, and it sounds fantastic. Beginning with the first movie, Alan Silvestri's score, which is arguably a character in of itself during the whole trilogy, definitely shines here more so. It pulls you into the movie, and it gives you that nice immersive feeling. Just anytime those musical cues are playing, be prepared to really sit back and enjoy those moments. Now, as far as the action of the movie goes, it's rendered really well. I would say dialogue is crisp and clean. No problems in that area. It sounds good even during the heavier moments. But yeah, it sounds good, and I think you'll be very happy with how that is handled. The front levels, they sound good as well. All those scenes with the DeLorean rumbling through, during the opening moments of the movie to the climax, it's all handled very well. The mid-levels to rears, there's so much discrete activity, ambience, just music, action. It all is handled very well. Everything is done great, and I think you'll be very pleased. The height speakers are given plenty to do. While there is a little bit of discrete channel activity, I would say the opening shots of the movie with Marty and the amp in particular really stand out, but it is mostly there to complement the already good surround sound mix. The LFE is good. It's not overly aggressive. Now, if you want to get a good representation, once again, the amp scene, when he's firing up the amp at the beginning of the movie, it gives you that nice low-level hum, doesn't become too obtrusive, and it really just handles that scene particularly well. But when things kick off with the DeLorean and the climax, it comes to life, but it does so very appropriately. I think overall, Back to the Future Part 1 definitely has a good sound to it, and the Dolby Atmos really brings this soundtrack to life. For the audio presentation of Back to the Future Part 2, it takes everything you love from the first movie and it amps it up even more. I feel that the overall sound experience on Back to the Future Part 2 with Dolby Atmos is a little stronger. It has a little bit more weight to it, a little bit fuller, and I think it really benefits the movie greatly. Once again, all three time periods benefit. They have a nice little respective, nuances to them that are really well done. The hover cars in particular in the future, they're whizzing by your head, traffic noises, and all those sorts of musical things really just kind of benefit greatly, and it really brings that whole surround sound feel to life. Once again, Biff's 1985, it has a little bit more on the bass. It has a little bit stronger, when those torches are going up from the side of the building. It kind of gives you that nice fullness to the LFE, and it really just renders all that surround sound activity very nicely with ambience and just some action moments. They're all well done. And 1955, once again, has the benefit of the lightning strike, and those moments are really well utilized. And I think overall, Back to the Future Part 2 has a great amount of variety to its soundtrack. It sounds great, and I think you'll be very happy with the results. For Back to the Future Part 3, the Dolby Atmos is another top-notch presentation. It really complements the other films very well. Now, it comes to a lot of immersive elements. It really uses all your speakers to its best ability, and I think you'll be very happy with all the discrete channel activity. The center channel with dialogue, clean and clear, no problems whatsoever in that area. Everything comes through very solid. The front levels, they handle a lot of the action. All the moments with the DeLorean and the train really rumble to life, and it makes good use of that front center placement. The mid-levels, the rears, they handle a lot of the ambience, everything from crowd chatter in 1885 Hill Valley to like some construction noises to gunfire. It all is handled properly. It does a good job, and I think you'll be very happy with the overall immersive feeling of the surround sound field. The height speakers, they handle a lot of that complementary action that the mid-levels and rears put out, but there is some discrete channel activity there as well. One in particular scene is when Marty's at the beginning of the film and he's hiding from the Indians and the cavalry chase. He's in that little cave and they're kind of leaping over on top of him. It definitely sounds like they're leaping on top of you from that experience. It sounds really good. The LFE is pretty aggressive. I would say mostly in particular involving the train. Those little bursts of explosions, the rumbling of the engine, it all comes to life, and it also complements the other action sprinkled throughout the movie. Back to the Future Part 3 is a very immersive audio experience, one of the stronger uses of Dolby Atmos, and I think you'll be very happy with how this whole trilogy sounds on 4K. For the picture quality of the Back to the Future trilogy, I'm going to give this one an A+. I think Universal really knocked it out of the park. There was a lot of attention and care given to these 4K restorations. Makes the movies look even more filmic than before, and the added benefit of HDR and Dolby Vision really enhanced those highlights of color, black level, and detail. It all gets a very noticeable upgrade over the Blu-ray. For the audio presentation, I'm going to give the Back to the Future trilogy also an A+ score. It sounds wonderful. It definitely takes an already good existing Blu-ray audio presentation and turns it up a notch, and I think it does so very well. All three films have their benefits. They sound great in their own ways, and they add a whole lot to your personal home theater. And I think at the end of the day, it's great that these movies were remixed with Dolby Atmos, and it is a wonderful new addition to an already great film library. So do I think you should upgrade the Back to the Future trilogy to 4K? If you have the Blu-rays, yeah, absolutely. I think the picture quality bump up is also really worth it. But once again, the Dolby Atmos is top notch. It's something you can't get on Blu-ray. And if you love these movies like I do, I think really this is a no-brainer. You should definitely upgrade to this 4K set. So that is my review of the Back to the Future Trilogy 4K set. Let me know in the comment section below if you picked it up for yourself, which exclusive, which version did you buy of the movies, and what did you think of the trilogy in 4K? In the meantime, please like, subscribe, hit that bell notification. So until next time, this is Adam with Movie Guy 365. I will see you at the movies.